While I was growing up, I loved RPGs, specifically Bethesda games. Elder Scrolls, Fallout, these were my jam. But my favorite of all was always Fallout New Vegas. And it's actually still my favorite game to this date. I remember the first time seeing it. I was over at my brother's first apartment. He was playing it on his PS3, and I was very intrigued. At this point in the game, he was talking to the Yes Man, and he was a really cool character. He was this self-aware Securitron, designed or programmed by Benny, and he was kind of programmed to do whatever the person asked him to. So he was telling you about other factions in the game, like the Legion, and you could get in good with the Legion. They'll give you the platinum chip, bippity boppity boo. You bring that back to me, I'll become so powerful that I can take out the other factions, take over the Hoover Dam, and before you know it, we'll redirect power to the Strip. And because I'm the yes man, I kind of do whatever you ask. I'll be your servant, so which means you'll be in charge. So already I was intrigued. I was like, that's fucking really cool. So I went out immediately and I bought myself a copy of Fallout New Vegas, and I quickly fell in love. Now, my favorite character was always Mr. House, actually. Everything about him, I don't know, was just really badass. Like, he was this amalgamation of Howard Hughes, Walt Disney, and Citizen Kane. He made billions pre-war using his Robco technology, and now he's kind of managed to keep himself alive to the point where he's just a face on a screen. Or so we think. He was the first faction I ever went with in the game. At first, he kind of just offers you caps for your service. He's like, go out, get the platinum chip for me, and I'll give you, more money than you know what to do with. But then once you kind of get to know him and start talking to him, he offers up a bit of an ideology that might be really intriguing and really work for the character that you're building. Actually, I always like this idea that putting caps first and everything else second. You weren't necessarily a violent character, but if someone got in the way of your business, then, you had to deal with them. And that was kind of the Mr. House philosophy, if you want to go with that faction in that kind of neutral path. Now, don't get me wrong here. I could sit and talk about Fallout New Vegas all day long. But really what I'm trying to get at is saying, at the time, there wasn't really anything else like this. And also, ever since then, I've really been looking for a game to kind of fill this New Vegas hole in my heart. But let's, what I'm getting at is there is one major flaw with New Vegas, and that is the game's bugs. And this game is incredibly buggy, then and now, especially when it comes to the game-breaking types of bugs. The one I would encounter the most was the game would just straight up freeze on me. You'd just be walking along, and then boom, it's frozen. There'd be nothing else you could do other than restart the console. This happens so often in New Vegas for me that I almost developed this syndrome where any game I play now, RPG or not, I'm just constantly saving it because I'm always fearful of when the game might just freeze and crash on me. Must I play like in the days of the NES where I'm afraid that a slight breeze might hit the reset button and I'll lose all my progress? No, there's no way to live. That is no way to live. And this shit's still going on. Like I said, Bethesda never fixed this problem with New Vegas, just like all their other games. Skyrim has the same problem. There's a bug in Skyrim I have where I was never able to beat the Thieves Guild because it's been so long now, but the fucking dude who stands up on the statue or whatever and he's supposed to give you the Nightingale armor or something, he's not there. He doesn't spawn, so I can't beat, still to this day, I still can't beat the Thieves Guild in Skyrim. And I still say though, with all these technical issues, Fallout New Vegas is still my favorite game ever though, because everything else in that game is so worth it for me that I excuse the technical issues that plague that game. And that's what brings us to Cyberpunk 2077. So I played Cyberpunk on a base PS4 and I experienced a litany of technical issues. Everything from graphical bugs to my game crashing to NPCs not spawning. You name it, I've experienced it in one way or another. I think much like how most others who played this on a PS4 or base Xbox, had the same problems. So really that raises the question here, is Cyberpunk 2077 a good enough game to excuse the shabby state that it's in? Now, simply, my answer to that is yes. Now, that's not to say the CD Projekt Red shouldn't be held responsible for the product that they put out and all the issues that have plagued it so far. As well, I think anybody who wants a refund for this game should definitely be entitled to one, despite how long they played it, where they bought it, whatever the case might be. But I don't think the game should be thrown to the curb completely and completely dismissed. Because there is a very good game here. Now, let's say, does it reinvent the RPG genre? It does not, no. Is the AI clunky and lifeless? It is, definitely. There was tons of times where I'd get out of the car and try to interact with another driver on the street or interact with somebody walking down the street. And, they were just these kind of mindless robots and not what I expected from the game. But I do think that Night City is a unique, fully realized setting that's really pretty, fun to look at, and in all fairness, probably the best example of a cyberpunk world we've seen in gaming so far. Though superficial, with a bit of a look and don't touch vibe, I thought the places were really fun, and I find myself a lot of the time just stopping and taking in the scenery. Actually, for an example, my first time in the Afterlife, I thought was really fucking sick. I went in and just immediately to my right there was these gangsters who one of their friends was dying, and they had him set up on a table, and they were on the phone trying to get a hold of a Ripper Doc, which is kind of like a doctor, I guess, in this world, and they were trying to get them down there to help their friend who whatever the fuck just happened. And then I walked a little further, and there was these dancers in these kind of glass tube jar things, and they were kind of dancing around. It looked like something out of like Shape of Water meets the Meat King's Party from Hitman. Though I will say, I think in an ideal RPG, you should have been able to help the gangsters or interact with them in some way, as well as the dancers too. But that's the thing, Cyberpunk is not your ideal RPG. But unlike a lot of other RPGs, I think the main story is actually the probably the best thing about Cyberpunk, and it's worth experiencing. It's action-packed with lots of twists and turns and likable characters, even some pretty heavy emotional moments that really have me going there. The main story focuses on kind of what it does best, these high octane heist with fast future cars and crazy shootouts, all with its cyberpunk aesthetic. But also the side quests here are really good as well. For example, the mission where you go out and get the cars for Delamain, I thought was really cool. Originally when I was given the quest, I thought it sounded like your classic fetch quest bullshit. Go here, get this, bring back, whatever. But it turned out to have a lot more depth than that. These car AIs have kind of become self-aware, or they've been infected with these viruses. So one car is trying to kill itself, and you got to talk it out of killing itself, and the other car thinks it's become a god from another dimension. There's actually a really cool side or Easter egg in there too, for referring to another game. It's really hard to miss. I won't spoil what the Easter egg is, but it's cool. You'll get a kick out of it once you see it. You know what I'm talking about. The writing and acting, I thought, on display here was really good. Characters felt three-dimensional. They had thoughts, feelings, goals, and when it did come time to make a decision in their life, yeah, you actually gave a shit. All the voice acting too is very good. Especially Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand. I thought he was funny. He was badass, and he just really fit in here. It worked very well. Now I thought the leveling up system definitely did leave something to be desired. It felt like something more out of the Division or Ghost Recon, instead of an in-depth RPG. To compare and contrast to Fallout New Vegas for a moment, you had the special, you had perks, and you had skills. So there's already three different types of leveling up that you could start to make a really unique character here. And it's like, did you want him to be charismatic, or did you want him to be kind of this strong, dumb oaf, or this kind of intelligent scientist? And I didn't really just think that was at play here in Cyberpunk. It all just felt like all the leveling up, all the perks and stuff just had something to do with combat, and there wasn't really much stuff outside of it, and it didn't felt unique, or I was kind of designing the character that I wanted to. When it comes to choices in the game, I gotta be honest and say it feels a little on rails. Now, I've only went through the game once, so I really don't know how in depth the choices really are and how on rails this game is. It's possible that the choices and the multiple endings and stuff were so seamless that I didn't really see them happening or notice them happening, but a lot of what happened in the game felt preordained. So that's the thing. That can either be a huge compliment to the game or a big diss. I'm really not too sure at this point. So if I can play, kind of Captain Hindsight for a moment, what should the answer been with Cyberpunk? Should it have been just a linear story, something more like God of War and Uncharted, and just kind of an A to B story with maybe just a little bit of choice? It definitely needed some more time in the oven. Not only to work out the bugs and the technical issues, but, just kind of figure out what it wanted to be, what it wanted to accomplish. And, if they wanted to make this redefining RPG, then it definitely needed some more time, because it is not that. In summary, though, I do think Cyberpunk is a fun game, and it's pretty good. It did not replace Fallout New Vegas for me, but perhaps Fallout New Vegas helped me kind of be patient and see through the technical issues and see a good game shining through there. I do think Cyberpunk is worth checking out, maybe when it goes on sale and down the line when a few patches come out for it. Anyways, thank you so much for listening, everybody. I've been Anonymous Disco. If you do want to chat anything down in the comments, we can talk about whatever down in the comments below. I'll be there. And yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. Peace the fuck out. See you later.